This is it. This is it. My English hacks, tips and tricks. I'm telling you the hacks. I'm telling you the English hacks, yeah? If you're not taking my advice, then what are you doing? What are you doing? These are the English hacks. Hi guys, I am here today with my long-awaited English hacks videos. I am going to teach you how to hack this English A-level. I'm going to give you all the last minute advice, tips, tricks, everything, just so you can get through this stage, because trust me, I did my revision very late. So if I give you guys these tips and tricks, please promise me that you'll do them ASAP, just to ensure that you're not doing it last minute like me, so you can securely get your grade, securely get that AA star, guys. Grab your pen, grab your pencil and take some notes, okay? Yeah. My first major English hack, guys, terminology. If you know your terminology, your English A-level becomes so much easier. And although I did this to procrastinate, because I just was trying to avoid doing work, I realized, damn, this made my life so much easier. So what I did is I had like literally every single term you can ever possibly need in this English A-level written on my bedroom wall. And I even color coded them to make sure like the poetry terminology goes together, the prose terminology goes together, the drama terminology goes together. So guys, brush up on your terminology ASAP, no matter what the case is. If you know, I'm telling you, if you know terminology, your exam life is about to get so much easier. People keep saying to me, poetry is so hard to revise. How do you revise poetry? What do you do about poetry? All you need to do, not all you need to do, no, do your like context revision and stuff depending on what you're doing, but especially like with unseen poetry in comparison, all you need to do is know your terminology, because a certain degree of English lit comes from spontaneous response to material in the moment. It's not always rehearsed. So that's why it is handy to know terminology, because if you know your terminology, then whatever the case may be, whatever you're feeling in that moment, you're equipped with the tools to be able to articulate it in an academic style. So your examiner will be like, okay, calm, cool, that either haven't read your novels yet or read very slowly, i.e. me, and I did read my novels last minute. Audiobooks. I am such a slow reader because I read, when I'm reading, I'm trying to A, understand the material, and B, I'm analysing it simultaneously. So I read very slowly. Audiobooks changed my life, and I still use audiobooks at uni. Like, if you need to read your novel, get up an audiobook. LibriVox is a very good source because it's like a free platform where you can get these audiobooks and you can like download them to your phone or listen to them on YouTube. So most books have audiobooks. You can put them on 1.25 speed, and what audiobooks allow you to do is that you don't have to like filter in what you're reading. So one of the books I had was What Maisie Knew, which is a 19th century novel by Henry James. If you've read Henry James or know who Henry James is, you know that his syntax is very complex and his sentences are very complex. And one of the things that can throw you off when reading this is trying to piece together the sentences. But I noticed by listening to these things on audiobook, it means that it sounds so smooth, like it just sounds like normal modern English, and then you can spend your time actually thinking about what you're reading and analysing it than having to do that other step that I mentioned previously. I still use them till this day. Yahoo Answers, I'm talking about YouTube, I'm talking about Twitter, I'm talking about Spark Notes, I'm talking about Schmoop, I'm talking about GradeSaver, and I still use GradeSaver till this day. Anyway, these unconventional sources can be useful, and it just depends on how you use them. Okay, you know I got you guys. Oh, Basically, we're gonna look at an unconventional sources and how to use them. So there's this line at the end of Streetcar where Steve says this game is a 5-card stud or a 7-card stud, whatever the line is, he says it. And I remember when I first read Streetcar, I was like, what does that even mean? Like, what kind of metaphor is that? And so I took myself over to Google, specifically Yahoo Answers, and looked it up. So here you can see me looking it up, opening links in a new tab because I need multiple perspectives. So check out Yahoo Answers. It can actually be very useful. You can see someone asked a question and this is the response, and the response is actually really good and helped me to grasp the idea of a 5-card stud and a 7-card stud. And if you're looking at the theme of like old and new and like the past and the present in Streetcar and stuff like that, it actually links, this metaphor actually links to so many of the themes in the play, and it was really good for it to be explained to me because no one else in class knew what it meant. My teacher didn't know what it meant. So yeah, this is when unconventional sources becomes very useful. Again, this is another take on the 7-card stud situation, which as well is helpful when linking to different themes and to different characters, especially the character of Stanley and Blanche. So this is how you do it, guys. Okay, so I think I didn't clarify this in the first version of English Hacks, but basically you're meant to use journal articles just kind of as an alternative to study guides, to just help you to gauge the text a bit more, to read about context or specific aspects that you're interested in. They can just help you to see where you can take your argument or to see ideas that you may have not thought of before. And English is about accumulating ideas, and then in the exam it's about deciding what ideas go together in response to a question. So you just have to accumulate as many ideas as possible and try and read as much as possible and maybe narrow down your reading. That's the point, right, guys? Okay guys, I am here with a fair word of warning because being tactical only works if A, you know what you're doing, and B, if you have read the exemplars. Tactic helped a lot with my King Lear revision because gauging from the past papers and the mock exam papers, I saw that we are very, very, very likely to be asked a thematic question. Here is my revision on all the themes in King Lear, like literally every single theme. I have it there, and yes, it's all good. So those are all the themes of King Lear. So if you watch my drama video, you will see that for drama especially, you have to go through themes. Like there's no ifs, no buts, or no whens. You have to go through themes. I saw that for the King Lear question, that it's very likely to be a theme. So because again I was doing this the night before my exam, I had to take that risk and think, okay, I need to narrow down my focus to just the themes because I'm banking on getting asked a theme, and this is why it's such a risky move. And I say take it at your own risk and do it at your own willingness. For every single possible theme that I thought would come up, or kind of different areas, I made these things, little mini essay plans. I like narrowed down my revision because what being tactical does allow you to do is to narrow down everything, because everything can be quite intimidating and a lot to do. So if you are tactical, you do have the chance to just narrow everything down. I went ahead and made one for every single possible thing that I thought could come up. Advice that comes into handy when you're doing extremely last minute, and I mean last second revision. Like this is what you do if you have no other choice, which is the position I was in. But then again, it is an English hack, so I'm telling you the things that worked for me. I was very lucky because something told me to wake up very early in the morning. Again, remember in my A-star video, I said get some sleep. Like I hadn't finished everything I wanted to do. That's why you can see that all blank. So I hadn't finished everything, but something told me to just get up. My body like literally just woke itself up and said, okay, you need to do madness. Like that's one of the biggest themes, you need to do madness. I did madness in Lear and just like thought about everything. And basically what I did with these things were, from all my notes, I put literally every single thing that goes with the theme of madness. So my critical reception, the specific scenes, so the storm scene, the specific ideas about tragedy. You can see that early in the morning I was brainstorming everything to do with madness because I was going mad myself. And madness came up in the exam, the theme of madness. So by being tactical and narrowing everything down to it's possible, that's the major thing, that it's possible. Like, it's not guaranteed, it's possible. Like I said, this tactic is very risky because you may not get what you intended, and I'm just very fortunate that madness did come up. But because I'm putting these out, you shouldn't be risking anything because you should know. Okay guys, this is a little slideshow I made for tuition, but anyway, the Drake on the left is the Drake you are now, but the Drake on the right is the one you're going to be after finishing this English hacks video, because we're going back to the basics. So what you need to understand is the etymology of the term essay. So as you can see, it stems from the late 15th century alteration of assay by association with Old French, based on Latin meaning weighing, ascertaining, weighing, and then the noun late 16th century Old French essay for trial. You need to understand that an essay is an attempt. You're proposing a series of ideas to an examiner. You're weighing things up, and which is why you do kind of the alternative interpretation. An essay is not a right or wrong, it's a point of view and it's what you think. So please do remember or keep in mind the etymology of essay because it helps you in your approach to essays. Okay, so introductions. The thing about introductions and conclusions specifically is, which is what I want you guys to kind of focus on, is that an introduction is the first thing that your examiner will see. And like Imani Shola said, when they see that introduction, they will know what grade you stand at, and then your body is about convincing them that you either deserve the grade that you're at or deserve the grade up. And then the conclusion is that final thing that they see that makes them go, okay, this student is a this grade student. So with introductions, it's very, very, very important to work on how you do your introductions for each of the texts you're studying. So you want to open with a general statement or a grabber, and then you want to lead in with context or a definition. You want to include your thesis statement. You have to include a thesis statement and a plan of the essay, so like what your essay will do. So I've decided to do Harper Lee's To Kill a Mockingbird because no one's doing it. So in my previous videos I didn't get permission to use my exam papers, and I know a lot of students were doing the same texts as me, but because I love you all equally, I've decided to do a text that no one's studying because they took off this book from the spec. So no one's going to be looking at this book. So I'll take you through an introduction, what I would do in the case of having to write an introduction. So you can see my opening is, remember, it's a sin to kill a mockingbird, which is a quote from the book. It's really cool to kind of open your introduction with a quote or something just grabbing, so a line, just a short sentence that will stick into the examiner's mind. You have to let them know, like, you're about to read one of the best essays you've read in your life, so you have to open with a little grabber, something snazzy that will just wake the examiner up after reading essays upon essays that are just regurgitating the same thing. These are the words spoken by Atticus Lee, which reverberate throughout To Kill a Mockingbird. So you want to put the title of the text in your introduction, and remember, you always have to underline the title of the text, but make sure you put the title of the text in your introduction. And next, as you can see, I say Harper Lee. You have to say the author's full name in the introduction. So Harper Lee creates characters where our sympathy is overtly directed to them. Such is true in the case of Tom Robinson, a black man accused of rape in the hostile milieu of the 1930s. So again, you can see that I'm bringing in some context and just kind of speaking generally about the book, and I'm starting to narrow my focus down in my introduction by bringing in specific characters that I'll be looking at, so the examiner can anticipate what my body will be about. And then here, remember that I said that the etymology of the term essay, one of the terms was weighing, and weighing means that there are two different sizes, there are two different weights. So you can see I introduced that by saying, however, Lee complicates sympathy. So again, whatever the main steer of the question is, make sure you include it in your introduction. So, complicates sympathy in the construction of Mayella Ewell, who's in the lowest of all social rankings amongst the white people of Macomb. Again, you can see me bringing in the context, and then that's where you say your this is and this essay will. So this essay will explore the ways in which Lee blurs the distinction between Mayella, the repository of sympathy, and Mayella, the antagonist. So from that on, it's very clear to the examiner where my essay is heading. So you really want to be succinct in your introductions. So I haven't focused too much on the body in this, but the general way I would structure the body is a signpost, a point, evidence, explanation, evaluation, which is where you evaluate your signpost and kind of look at context and look at wider meaning, and then you'll link back to your thesis statement or your question. So this is kind of my standard A-level approach to English. For those of you who don't know what a signpost is the kind of introduction before your point, if that makes sense. So I did an example here where it would be like, Mayella is a product of a society that ceases to value underprivileged women and concurrently seeks to protect them. That would be me signposting, and then I would make my point and then bring in my textual evidence and explain that with my terminology, etc., etc. So please do remember that your conclusion is just as important as your introduction, because remember, you're trying to say to the examiner, okay, you know what, I deserve the highest grade possible. So in your conclusion, you want to summarize your argument and restate the major points of your argument. After you've done that, then you want to step back and look at the text and big it up in a kind of way, if that makes sense. So you can look at how the issues you addressed apply more generally. You can give a personal view of the text. You can talk about context or make it just interesting and memorable. So you can see in my conclusion that I say, though it is Lee's only piece of work. So at the time, like, because I did this at GCSE, at the time it was her only piece of work. Obviously, there was the Go Shoot the Watchman or something like that was released like just before she died. But at the time, this was her only piece of work. So I would have said something alluding to, though this is Lee's only piece of work, To Kill a Mockingbird is a testament to the strains on which sympathy can be put under depending on context. Lee blurs the distinction between Mayella as a victim of her environment and an aggressor, as she in turn makes Tom Robinson a victim of his environment. To Kill a Mockingbird is a testament to the ways in which we never know exactly what people have gone through. Atticus's "Remember It's a Sin to Kill a Mockingbird" is more pertinent than ever in an environment where differences in political opinion are rife, it's meant to say that, and the ability to sympathize with people is more important than ever. So I did a whole lot in that short conclusion. Like, I referenced back to my introduction, referenced back to the characters I brought up, referenced the text again, referenced the author again, spoke about that context, and then spoke about our current context, so you can relay it back into what it means for us today in this contemporary society to be reading this. Why is it important? So you want to end on a wow, basically. Your body and your introduction are more formal, granted, but your conclusion is really where you can just kind of step back a bit and just talk about the text more generally. So I know that exams are coming up, so to get into the swing of things, as you can see in my like being tactical thing, I made these little things. So I want you guys to go ahead and make them too, and start practicing your introductions and conclusions. If you have watched my exam folder video, you'll see that I do mention exemplar papers and how important they are. So if you are stuck about how to structure your essay and you just can't seem to get it, I would recommend getting exemplar papers and just using a color code. So every time you see a point, use one color. Every time you see evidence, use one color. Every time you see terminology, use another color. Every time you see context, use another color. So that's how I went about it. Really good way to just physically be able to see what an essay structure is meant to look at depending on what level you want to achieve. By doing this, you can literally see it physically in front of you, how the essay is functioning and what that person's doing. So I really do recommend going through different exemplar papers and just color coding them, because it will make the structure of an essay much clearer if you're stuck as to what to do with those. Okay, the best and most important hack, to be honest, that I forgot in my first version was poetry tables, and I did mention this in my poetry videos, but I thought it would be helpful here too. The best way to revise poetry, I know I'm shouting, but it's because it's true. The best way to revise poetry is to make a poetry table. Please guys, make your poetry tables, because it makes life so much easier. It puts everything in one place, and literally for your exams you have to know your terminology and just have gone over your poetry table. So shout out to Miss Jaffrey, the very best that kind of coined this for me. So you put the title of your poem over here, and then you put the poet's purpose in here. So what is the point of this poem? Then you put the themes over here, the tone and voice, the context, and then language, form and structure. So you can see I color coded language in purple, form in blue, structure in red, and then I also made comments about the effectiveness. And if you're doing comparative poems, then you can put your links to other poems, which goes here. So you have one place where you look at everything. So you can see the poems that I went through and that I didn't go through for my exams. The poem that came up, I didn't go through. So yeah, that was a mistake of mine because I made this so late. But you really do want to make poetry tables, because it will make your life so much easier and just puts everything in one place. That's it. But I hope they help. Literally, seriously, those are the hacks that I used, along with the revision advice that I have given. Everything coupled together, that's how I got an A-star. If I can do it, you can do it. Trust me. Good luck, good luck, good luck. If you have any other questions, let me know. Shouldn't be doing last minute revision, but it's fine. If you're like me, we're in the same boat and I'm here to help. But yeah, I hope that you have a lovely exam season, a stress-free exam season. Take care of yourself. Bye bye.